We don't want to hear that.
Exactly.
Crap.
You're
I'm not
rapping.
a rapper.
I can say the
bro.
most words. I can rap the most syllables in a bar. That's what it was. It does seem like they're almost trying to one up each other.
9 times out of 10 right now, if you were to tell me, hey, Eminem dropped a new album, I'm like, oh, okay.
Now I don't wanna do it, but I ain't afraid to die. Lord knows I ain't perfect. I ain't trying to tell a lie. It's understood and I ain't hearing all that woulda, coulda, shoulda. Trying to say you want peace, then you burn the
It was my God's honest that I was all about a non-violent approach, but it seems truth is a non-topic.
All right. What up, though? Special emergency podcast. Not an official episode, but I was inspired to do a music review, which is something that you're probably not going to see very often on this channel.
Not anymore, at least.
It's this new young man. Well, it's for the Eminem album. It's the album everybody's talking about right now.
Yes. Death of Slim Shady.
Yeah, the Death of Slim Shady. I guess I should address, I guess, the proverbial elephant in the room that we've probably said negative stuff about Eminem before. Just
many a time, I'm sure.
Yeah, just in a way that it felt like, despite the fact that he'd been a free speech type of artist, a rebellious guy, how it seemed like he kind of went along with the political narrative that, everybody knows what I'm trying to say. And he did the whole Trump diss and all that kind of stuff.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Honestly, the coffee pot thing.
Yeah. It just felt like some weird kind of pandery type of thing. And it felt like the dude that you always liked because he would go against the grain and say whatever he wanted to say. It felt like they'd gotten a hold of him. You know, that's how it felt, because he clearly didn't know much about politics. So it's like, why is he saying this shit?
Yeah.
So I'm saying all that as a way to say, and I also feel like, on a more personal level, he did a couple people wrong, going back a long time when it comes to the music business and stuff like that. So I had my reasons why I just couldn't in good conscience like sit there and like champion for this guy. However, I'm able to separate that when it comes to the music, and I've always said that he's a top 5 MC ever. You can't deny it. And I love his early stuff, and I feel like he's admitted he made a bunch of kind of crappy albums in a row.
Several.
And then he kind of like reinvented himself,
and then he made more crappy albums.
Kind of, yeah. That's the issue.
He had one good one, I think, in between or whatever, and then it was like he went away for a bit and then came back, and it was like, what is this?
Yeah, what he did, it seemed like he's trying to find like his footing.
Trying to stay relevant somehow.
Exactly. It's like he had his style, his thing. It was new, it was fresh, and it did really well for a certain amount of time. And then it felt kind of like, the game went in a different direction, and he had to kind of find his own thing. And it felt like he didn't have much to write about.
Yeah.
When he was doing all that music where it's like, he even says, with the stupid voice, the accent, and all that kind of stuff. And he was just trying to do the weirdest, zaniest stuff that he could, because it was like, okay, I'm the guy that does that. And there really wasn't a lot in it. You didn't feel much in it. But every now and then he'd have those heartfelt songs where you're like, damn, I wish you would keep doing this. But for some reason, somebody's telling him not to or something.
Well, yeah. Eminem, growing up with him, we grew up with his music. I literally grew up with it, considering my age.
Yeah.
And to see him go from, being like the Slim Shady and the cleaning out my closet and the sing for the moment guy, and then to go forward a little bit and not have as many zany songs, and to hit those deeper levels like Beautiful and things like that, that was amazing. Those were great songs. And when you saw that side of him, you were like, wow, this is great. But yet he could still do the rappity stuff and be like, wow, he can really rap, and it was just, that was the Eminem, the multifaceted Eminem that that I love and that I still love. And then he just like disappeared. And I mean, like, disappeared because
Well,
he,
even in that period when he was doing, like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like "Love the Way You Lie" is one of the best songs
Yeah.
he ever did.
yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, it's on a Trash album. I think it's on that album that has the Rain Man song. And
I can't remember
and
if
talking about the hut with his
is
hands
that
on the
one
foot,
on,
the
is it on
quarterback's butt, and like
Recovery or is it on?
I don't know.
I can't remember the albums. I don't know.
That's what I mean. All those are a blur because
There's a
seriously, they were
few good
trash.
songs on them, like here, you know, and I don't know. It just like No Love was good, you know. There I could sit here and name off the ones that were
Yeah.
good, but like then he turned into the I mean, all the stands loved this shit, you know, like the MGK diss and freaking the Kamikaze and
Well, what it is
all that stuff, and I didn't like it. The last album that he dropped, man, I thought that was, I hated every
he
bit of
came
it.
out as like the dude that's gonna say the stuff that others won't. You know, he was kind of doing what we considered like a cipher freestyle style, and you know, obviously he was a white dude doing it, but he had this whole thing about him, chip on his shoulder, that he's going to go harder than anybody else because that's kind of what you had to do. I was only a couple years ahead of him, well, behind him on the scene. That's what you had to do. So he was like this hungry, broke dude who's like kind of out of place, and he raps about that struggle. It's just a struggle you haven't heard in hip hop before, you know, and he's a little out of his fucking mind. Like that was part of his whole thing. And as he grew up, it was almost as though he felt like those heartfelt songs, just people didn't want them.
But we did though.
And he actually even referenced that in lyrics
Yeah.
though. And yeah, like the Eminem Show, I thought was a classic album. That is an absolutely
Great
fantastic album.
start to finish.
But
yes.
right after that, it was like it was basically like, you know, I'm not gonna keep doing that on every song. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna. It just seemed uninspired. He had nothing to rap about.
He was just rapping to rap.
Yeah,
and
that was
like,
it.
You're
And then the
Eminem,
stuff,
you don't
that's what I
have
was
to do
getting to.
that, you know?
The stuff that you're talking about is the shit that I hate that made me stop listening to him.
Yeah.
Was all he had to rap about. The only reason he was still in the game is because he was obsessed with proving to everybody that he was the best rapper.
It's like, you already proved you're
I can
awesome,
say the
bro.
most words. I can rap the most syllables in a bar. I can. That's what it was, you know. It was just a Sanigan, Nanigan, Nanigan,
It's all rap god. I'm sorry, not everybody loves rap
and
god.
some
I
of
don't
it,
like
yeah.
rap god, sorry, but
And some of it, you know, it was like he was, and I can say this as somebody who listened to or watched like the subgenre of like, you know, modern battle rap. He was using a lot of modern battle rap type of lines, you know, that would kind of go on for several bars and they'd have double meanings and stuff like that. But they just weren't anywhere near as good as the top level guys who do that.
they weren't hitting people either.
No. And that's the thing. Like, anyways, like I'll have to chop this up because it just sounds like a really, really negative attack.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's not though. I mean, that's.
I'm just trying to get across that it
That's
ain't
how
biased. Is
we
all I'm saying.
felt. Coming from a place of loving Eminem, and you know, like I said, being a multifaceted artist. When we finally saw that he could be one, you know, with all those deeper tracks, it was like, okay, awesome. He can be, you know, this, and he can be White America, and he can be this. We love Marshall. The Marshall that was, and then like I said, he like disappeared, and all those rappity rap songs was like all he ever had, and it's like, dude, that's all you got in your pocket. Like, just stop rapping.
Yeah, I hate to say it. Like Joe
Like, we
Budden was
wanted him to
actually
just-
right about something.
Yeah, we
when
wanted
he said
him
the
to
rapidy rap bullshit.
We wanted him to just stop for a while.
It's like write a
don't-
song about a relationship.
Don't
write a
till you
song
got
about-
something to write about other than how good of a rapper you are.
Like, to be honest, when it comes to somebody talking about their real life, you didn't hear Eminem talking about things like, you know, my life's changed and like, here's the type of investments I'm doing and here's the places I'm visiting and I can't believe I'm here. And like, you would hear him talk about like, I can't believe I made it and I'm wealthy and this and the other. But I mean, like, you hear a lot of guys who do like, I guess you could say like the blue collar shit down south when it comes to hip hop. And you hear them talking about like their grown man lives. And it's almost like he felt like, or I can't say what he felt, but it seemed like maybe he thought that was off limits, or
He thought
maybe
people didn't want that.
yeah, it wouldn't be entertaining or whatever. But honestly, when you're at his level, people are gonna if it's quality, people are gonna like it. You kind of set the trend when you're that big. You know, like you can, but you like you said about him like trying to be relevant again or whatever.
Yeah.
Like as far as that trying to be relevant again thing, that's exactly what it is. He kind of addresses it. And what's interesting, and this is a pattern with some of his stuff, it's like, you know, ingenious stuff, you know, like uh groundbreaking stuff, just amazing work. And then seems to be maturing a bit, but you know, the skills coming with it and it stands out just as much. Then there's this period of just like you said, rapping just to rap and not knowing to do it, what to do with it, and then basically addressing it finally and saying, you know, I made those last 3 albums are bullshit, and what was with that accent and all that shit that he said, but yet on the project he's addressing that on, it's just pure rappity rap bullshit. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
not really a personal track. There's not really an anthem. There's nothing the streets connect with. There's not anything talking about that grown man thing. You know, like it's just I'm going to prove I'm the best rapper on earth, and I'm going to do it by saying as many fucking words as possible in a bar, and I'm going to do as many triple entendre punchlines as I can.
Yeah, and he just didn't need to do all that.
And
man.
look, bro, nobody likes that shit. And what I'm going to tell you real quick, if you ever actually see this, is a lot of times you hear people saying things like, you only have the fan base and success that you do in the style that you do because you're white. And there is some truth to that in what I just said, because all the guys who tried to do that, none of the guys who do that rapidy rap stuff, like historically, who are just like trying to prove they're the greatest rapper on earth in every fucking song, and that's just what they're all about. They do not sell millions of records. They do not get millions of downloads.
Because unless you're a rapper, we don't want to hear that.
Exactly.
Crap.
You're
I'm not
rapping
a rapper.
It's rappers rapping for rappers.
You know,
it's like a Detroit rap show.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, all that aside, this new album.
Actually, real quick, the person that he beefed out with, who actually had skill, that's who you become at that point.
Yeah.
Cannabis is like the fucking flag carrying dude who it's like, I just crush the mic every time I rap, and people are just like, all right, bro, like unless you used to rap, you don't want to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point is that he did these albums where it is that rapidy rap shit, and it seems like that was his groove. I'm the world's best MC. I have the reputation for it. Watch me do what I'm going to do on this track. And some of the shit was impressive. Some of it was good, but it didn't have replay value.
Yeah.
There weren't songs you want to go back and listen to it. You're not singing along with the hooks. You're not quoting it.
You know, all these years later, I'm cleaning out my closet with my kids and Stan and showing them, like, look at this. Look how amazing this is.
And it's not because of our age. Micah can also pick up on the fact that it was just more quality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's at. It's like, so now with this project, the Death of Slim Shady. It's interesting to kill him off now. And my whole thing when I talked to you about it was, does that mean there's someone else coming? Because I felt like he did that with the Eminem show. Like he grew up but I get what he's going for, and I get that he's doing it at a time when people are really sensitive about things.
Yeah.
And it probably reminded him of, yeah, I remember when I first came into the game, like they were telling me, you can't say this, you can't say that. And so, you know, it's a parallel, and he's showing you that he killed that person off.
Yeah, well, it's like his alter ego or whatever, you know, and he's fighting with himself on some of these songs, and which is a cool concept, I guess. I get it.
Yeah.
And you know, there were several songs on the album that I really like. Not because I'm 9 times out of 10 right now. If you were to tell me, hey, Eminem dropped a new album, I'm like, oh, okay, and I don't.
Yeah, it's like if I want to hear a Dope 16, I'll play it.
You know, I gave up.
But there's usually not much else.
This one, it's like, all right, okay, I'm gonna give it a chance. You know, I'll give it a shot, and it's actually got me like going back in my memories of all of the Eminem songs that I have always held dear and showing, more to my son, like playing them in my car again and stuff like that. So that's a nice refresher, which shows that this album actually has some replay value and is decent.
Yeah, it does.
It's decent.
If you got a guy who, yeah, that's exactly it. That shows you it's a bit of a success right there if it makes you go back to their older works.
Yeah.
Especially if it reminds you of their older works that were actually very good.
Exactly.
If you can sit there and take one of these tracks from this album and a similar track from, I don't know, the Slim Shady LP or something, and they'll fit on your own little mixtape or playlist, it's like, okay. And I know that makes it sound like, well, that's something he could have did 20 years ago, but that's the point. I never thought I would say this about what's on this project or any other Marshall project, but some of the stuff did have like kind of a timeless element. Or if I would have played it for somebody in 2001, or I played it for him now, it had the quality. It was a good beat selection. It was entertaining. The stuff he was saying was funny. It wasn't just for shock value because normally it fit, the concept of the song. I thought it was pretty good. And that was my main thing with this is it was like, if you were to take the Slim Shady LP or that era of Eminem and say, I want Slim Shady back, you would also want it to be an improved version. And that's what I think he presented here because, his punchlines, his lyrical content, his ability to change his flow, all of that stuff is improved from back then. So it is like giving a damn TRT, like a steroid shot to the Slim Shady of back then at times on this album.
Yeah. He goes hard a few times and I'm just like, oh, that's a Slim Shady we remember from when we were kids.
And the punchlines connect better than like the last several projects he's had.
Oh, yeah.
It was like on Kamikaze, I'd be like, okay, like, there's 5 or 6 great punchlines on a song, but he would say one that was just trash. And it would just, not that song, I'm talking about the album. I do too. I think it's kind of trash.
Anyway.
But that is a perfect example of what we're trying to say and having a hard time saying it with like, you can be a great rapper, a great technical rapper, and not have any replay value and not make me want to check for your shit and put me in a position where I actually have a hard time describing why it's not dope. And the perfect example that I'm saying is Kill Shot versus Rap Devil.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is this. It's Rap Devil has replay value. It's a better, more catchy instrumental. It's got like kind of a catchy little hook. It's delivered in a way that people can rap along with it. It's got a certain mood to it where it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's not
Kill Shot's just annoying. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like I'm going to go way, 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 way overboard and just bar you to death at 1,000 miles per minute. To where again, the only
dude, we know you can rap.
Yeah, the only person that like understands it really or takes the time to listen to it is an MC.
Yeah.
And
we want lyrics.
I'll catch some shit for this.
And hear.
I've always said that, and I would call this shit pretty even, but other times I actually do the opposite of this. But I've always said that in a way, Jay-Z won a battle with Nas, and people think I'm fucking nuts because people took the term ether and ran with it, everything. And Nas did really rip him the fucking shreds on that. He ripped him to shreds on a beat that's actually odd timing and strange. It wasn't even supposed to be the original beat. But my point is that you're going to hear Jay's song in a club before you're going to hear Nas's.
Yeah, true.
Because he made a catchy look. Okay, people keep saying that Kendrick made a fucking bop out of a diss song calling somebody a pedophile.
Yeah, he did.
Well, Jay-Z dissed Nas and Mobb Deep on a song and made it like an anthem.
Yeah.
Where you start replacing it with your own crew and shit, with the ROC running this rap shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he picked like a bouncy, dramatic fucking Doors sample. Very simple, but also scathing lines. A delivery people can rap along with. And something that could be played in the club or whatever, just, So I'm not saying necessarily that he won that like as an MC, but like as an artist whose song are you probably gonna play more? Like if you're just a regular
Yeah.
listener.
It's important that we understand what you're saying,
Right.
and
And
that
I
we,
do,
you
but when I
know,
gotta explain the fucking lyrics to something like explain why something's better, then maybe it's not.
yeah,
I found myself doing that with other MCs in the past. Like, yeah, dude, you know, the reason this is so dope is because of this and this, and I'm saying it as an MC, and it's like the person don't care, man.
yeah.
Like they just want to hear it and see if it catches them. Anyways,
I'm a sucker for the deeper songs. I always have been. You know, it's like that's,
me too.
you
There has
know,
to be at least one
there's
on a
got to be a
project.
couple of them. You know, that's why I love a lot of stuff with Tupac, and you know, songs that hit you, songs that, you know, you feel something. They can still be hard as hell, but that you feel them in your gut. You know.
Yeah.
And he had a few on here that were like that, and I was like, oh, it's still in you. All right.
Mhm.
It's still in you, you know. I mean, Temporary with Skylar Grey, that's the one that he wrote for Haley.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, and
I like the
he
fact that
has his-
some of the stop and go rhymes in it and stuff, and kind of like more basic ways of rhyming things together. I actually like that because
Yeah.
it felt like a real letter.
yeah,
It wasn't put together too perfectly.
It's
It was
beautiful.
yeah, it really
It's
was
beautifully
good.
done. And then, you know, this the Somebody Save Me, you know, with the Jelly Roll sample. I mean,
It's great.
it's great.
really great.
It's definitely great.
And that's one where I went into it going like, I'm gonna hate this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like certain things.
I'm a gatekeeper with Jelly Roll,
Yeah.
so I don't, you know.
And I was like, man, I don't know, dude. And then I listened to what he actually said. I thought I was just gonna despise the song, like leave well enough alone. I don't like when people do that shit sometimes. But I listened to it and I was like, you know what? He made it his own. It's really good, and it made me start writing immediately.
It hit me.
That's
in
how
the
I know
heart,
something's really good.
man. And I mean, in Jelly Roll, it obviously, like I said, I'm a
That's that new
gatekeeper.
guy, right? The new big guy?
I'm a gatekeeper when it comes to him. You know, if you weren't listening back when the drywall, yeah, then shut the fuck up, okay? If you weren't telling your PL that you were hanging drywall, I don't want to hear your shit. Anyway, he, you know, for somebody like Jelly Roll too, to be in as big of a spotlight as he finally is now and getting his flowers like he deserves now. You know, Eminem is someone that, you know, Jelly has looked up to for forever. I mean, that's a successful white rapper. I mean, that's what, you know, you aspire to be, someone like that. And to have, you know, your song be sampled on an Eminem album, I know that's a big deal for Jelly Roll, and he did it justice. Eminem did it justice, which made me very happy. So that was really cool. And then even the tracks that were a couple of them that I really liked was the Road Rage track.
Yeah, that was dope.
That song's really dope. That song's something I would play in traffic for real.
What's the track where he talks about the fat people?
That is Trouble, I think. Yeah, Trouble.
What's interesting about it is
I love that song.
You know, we kind of touched on the fact that, you know, he kind of went at our side politically and everything like that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't bring politics into it except the Candace Owens thing, and I'll address that in a minute. But he kind of is bitching about the same things we do when it comes about political correctness. And I understand why he didn't bring politics into it, because yes, it was more one side back then when he started. Now things have flipped. It doesn't matter which political side it is. Mm-hmm. It's just he's attacking the PC culture thing. Mm-hmm. And I did find it refreshing that in some parts he actually did say what he really feels.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just like, don't tell me I can't say this. But it was kind of like you could tell how he actually feels about certain shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Candace Owens thing, the shit's hilarious, okay? Like, I've always been like this huge supporter of Candace Owens until recently.
Candace fan ever, and she's pissed us off a little.
Yeah, she pissed me off with the Jordan Peterson thing and all that, and she's just trying to grab every headline she can because
she's just calmed down.
She fell out with Shapiro and them, and.
But anyway,
But the thing is the shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
And when I was first hearing it, it was before I had kind of started feeling a certain way about her. And just because I liked the person doesn't mean it wasn't hilarious.
No,
The shit
yeah.
was hilarious.
It was
Like
great.
the way he went at her was funny. And the fact that she just keeps like cranking out videos responding
Oh,
to it.
she answered right away.
Yeah,
Probably
like
quicker than any rapper
she did
I've ever
exactly what he
seen.
wanted her to do. It was
Yeah.
funny. And and you know, she's calling him a crybaby. It's like, but I mean, the thing is it's like, okay, as like a fan or as somebody in that political side, I could easily take offense to certain parts of what he said, but it doesn't matter because it's funny. It's a joke. It's like we all know that certain people think that basically she traded her black card in and this, that, and the other. That's what you're going to get poked fun at for.
Yeah, well, and that's
You
the
know,
whole thing. Is like,
it's like they
that's
used to do on
what's-
the late night show to both sides.
yeah,
like,
I mean,
you know what I'm
well,
saying?
that's like what Slim Shady and Eminem is supposed to be. I mean, he goes at you, he goes at someone's throat or a topic's throat or whatever the hell it is, and even if it's like something that you disagree with, you laugh anyway, because it's like, shit.
It was actually pretty clever.
You
It was
know?
pretty raw. Or
Yeah.
I like the disses that go all the way.
Yeah.
That's always been my thing. Like go all the way with it.
And
I don't really think there's limits.
I realized that, like I said before, this is an album. Obviously, it's called Death of Slim Shady, and there's there's a whole bit on there where he's arguing with himself multiple times. Slim Shady's arguing with Marshall. Like we're gonna dye our hair. No, we're not. All this that, and I get it, and that's cool and everything. I understand what he's going for there. I respect it, but it also, I don't know, that kind of irritated me a little bit just because
A
I'm
little
like,
too much Damien.
I'm just like,
DMX Damien type of thing.
yeah, I mean that too, but it's just kind of like, I mean, okay, yeah, we get it. You're more mature now, It's like, fine, dude. That's fine. Like, you don't have to kill Slim Shady. He can still be around. Like, it's
he's
cool,
killing him.
man.
He's killing
like,
him.
the whole canceling myself thing is, like, I don't know. I understand, like, growing up, and then you look back on things that you said, and you're like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you might think that, and you might even feel that about some stuff, but it's like, that was a character that you created, that you were,
and that was a certain time
and
too.
Things are different then, and it is what it is. It's okay.
Forgive yourself.
You don't have to apologize.
Look in the mirror and say, "I love you" to
Oh
yourself
my God.
every morning.
You don't have to apologize for that shit. Like, it just, I don't know.
Well, I think he had a cool concept.
It
he
is a
tried
cool
to have
concept.
one. What was that murder one? The Alfred Hitchcock cover.
Oh yeah.
It just didn't work.
Murder.
Yeah, I'm not.
Music to get murdered.
Yeah,
to or something.
yeah, and the thing is like
I didn't like that album at all.
I'll tell you what I respected about this project is number one, people have a 15-second attention span nowadays. So to sit here and say I'm doing a concept album,
listen to it from start to finish.
Yeah, like I
to
mean,
get people to do that.
Yeah,
hard.
it's very hard to get people to do that, and so I was like, it's going to be very hard for me to do that because, again, like I want a certain Eminem.
Yeah, I'm going to pick and choose what I want to hear.
And I know that I'm not really the biggest fan of what he became as an artist, so. This is gonna be light work. I'm gonna get 2 songs in and I'll be like done.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd
But no, I stuck with it, and I will say like the beat selection was better than usual.
Yeah.
The lyrically it was improved, and like I said, like the punchlines connected a little better. The hooks, he didn't have as many of the kind of annoying hooks.
Mm-hmm.
The hooks that basically inspired Tom McDonald to exist.
Yeah.
And like, and plague that guy too. People that listen to either one of them know what I'm talking about. And I thought that the concept was cool, but I think it was a little over dramatic or a little much to say you have to listen to it in order, because it's kind of like for like 10 songs, you're basically working towards killing off this pseudonym. And like you said, it's that same argument. And it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to follow every single one. It's not like one's for 1 year, one's for the next one. Like they didn't change that much.
No,
But I get what he's going for.
Yeah, that's
I
how
like
he
this
sees
concept
it.
album.
So that's how he sees it.
And at first I was like, does
he?
he have to kill Slim Shady? It was a really long time ago. People don't really think he's that anymore. They're not criticizing him for that anymore. You see these corny clickbait articles every now and then that are like, oh, Gen Z wants to cancel Eminem. They don't.
No,
It's not a real thing. It's like his
Yeah.
manager making that or something.
It's somebody.
Or just somebody wanting clicks. But does he really need to do that? And it feels like, yeah, maybe he never actually totally killed that. Maybe him not killing that is the reason why he had those confused albums.
Probably.
Where it was like, like the one was like almost all horrorcore. I don't remember which one it was, but he went all the way with that shit to the point where it was like, damn, like, I mean, it was entertaining, but it was like, Jesus, man, like what happened?
Much.
Yeah, it was like you're kind of overdoing it.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I feel like I'm all over with this, but I will say, like, it's great to hear lyrical content out there that's really, really on point. I know people point out a couple lines that were kind of stupid or something, but
there's always
out of 700,000 lines on this album, it's like,
trust me,
there's a lot of lyrics on this
I'm
album.
telling you right now, this is coming from one of the people who has gone probably the hardest on Eminem in the last, I don't know how many years. I have not liked this motherfucker in a long time. And this is somebody that I used to really, really love.
Yeah, I started looking at him like a cornball.
I started freaking cringing when people would bring up Eminem. I'm like, God, man, I can't stand him anymore. And it would make me sad.
Made me a little sad too, because I was like, man, I used to get.
I'm like, damn, I loved him. Like, what the hell happened? And this one made me feel better. I was like, wow, okay, all right, this is actually pretty good. Now, mind you, I don't like every song, okay? I'm not going to sit here in front like it's perfect or some shit. It's not the album of the year or anything. But the people that are out there that are hating on it, I'm pretty surprised, actually, that they are. Because, God forbid, Eminem puts out anything. You got everybody and their brother running saying it's the best thing on the fucking planet, even if it sucks. So it's like, you're criticizing this?
Strange.
Why? It's weird.
It is strange.
I don't know why.
It's like people were basically saying that he's out of touch with the culture and stuff like that. And to be honest, this one I don't think that's true with. And I don't know if he influenced this kind of movement or if it's just real MCs talking to each other and sharing their hunger. But it's like he and LL just did a song together for LL's new project. Rakim's dropping an album. I mean, you've got a whole bunch of these. You got Common and Pete Rock dropping an album, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they just dropped it already.
Shit.
Actually,
all right.
And so the interesting thing about it is it does seem like they're almost trying to one up each other, and then you just had a giant rap battle between like the pop icon and the guy who's considered, the deep lyrical artist of the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And basically everybody's eyes, the lyrical guy won, and so, yeah. and I mean, so it's a cool moment. So to say that he's out of touch with the culture right now, I don't think that's true. I mean, no, he's not making like drill music.
Thank God.
But maybe he's a part of things, going a little bit more in a different direction where people are looking at lyricism. And I really believe that he murdered some. I mean, he had some great bars on the project. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and like quote him and shit like that. I didn't print them out to read them or nothing. You can go listen yourself. But the concept album thing is pretty dope. I see how he goes kind of chronological through it and everything. And he chose beats that were, a few of them were more updated, but more, he did that before, and I didn't really care for it. It felt like, come on, dude. It was like an old guy rapping on the young kid's beat, and like having the young kid even spit on it, and it's like, it just didn't work. It was just ugly.
Corny.
Yeah, but he more picked kind of timeless, boom bappy type tracks.
Yeah.
Stuff that, even if it's not your cup of tea, even if you're a young kid and you ain't really heard nothing like that before. You don't think it's trash. You hear it, you nod your head, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, what's this dude saying? So anyways,
shout out to Shane Webb Foulmouth for doing that beat on Antichrist, right?
Yeah, it was actually pretty dope.
And Bizarre's part on the end was pretty.
I guess that was the other
dope
thing
too,
I forgot I was gonna say is that I've seen a lot of.
That's pretty awesome. So congratulations on that shit.
Absolutely, like I said to somebody in a comment yesterday, like I was like freestyling in a cipher on a corner in like 2001 with Foulmouth. Like I think before he ever thought of making beats, he was just trying to be a rapper. You called yourself Eclipse, bro. If you watch this, there's only a handful of us probably remember that shit, but I remember that shit. But it's cool to see something like somebody like that end up on a fucking Eminem album. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
It's kind of refreshing because it feels like that kind of stuff should happen more when the biggest dude is from your city. You know what I'm saying?
Especially with all the work he's done with Bizarre too. It's like it should have happened.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm glad it was this album.
But I should address the fact that I've seen a lot of Christians and even John Rich of all people, because he just dropped a song that's religious, you know, at its roots and everything. He brought up the fact that like Eminem is part of the machine, so of course he has songs called Antichrist and Lucifer and Evil and everything. But I think this is where you got to say, well, wait a minute, Eminem. I don't know what he believes exactly, but he's not some sort of like practicing Christian. You know what I'm saying? He's not thinking that way. And he's also thinking in terms of being Slim Shady, where it's like,
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
you know
like
anything about Slim Shady?
These are the people that, okay, they get offended by what you say. And if you're not a Christian yourself, it doesn't mean a lot to you to say it.
Yeah.
You don't realize why it's offensive to people.
And Slim Shady was an offensive motherfucker. That's the whole point.
Yeah, and the whole thing is they're basically calling you evil.
I'm not gonna sit here and get offended, you know, by something that you're saying that might not align with my religious beliefs right in that moment, because it's a Slim Shady thing. I wouldn't expect any less.
Right.
You know,
like waving a pistol with 60 Christians against me. The whole thing.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. Like the Renegade verses, and then what he's saying on this project, he's basically just saying that he's that dude that pushes the envelope. So you call him evil. So fine, I'll own it. I'm Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking about like casting fucking spells. He's not saying anything like directly. All right. So what this stuff really boils down to when you're trying to like rate something or whatever is it going to have replay value? Somebody going to come back and listen to it years from now? And I don't care what nobody says. I do think that there are at least a handful of joints on here that will stick out to people and they'll go back to them. I actually do hear that.
Yeah, at least a few.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of number one, you know. So, I mean, I made the little rating system. It's like a 1 would be like picture the song Barbie Girls instrumental playing on loop for an entire album. That's what a 1 is. A 2 is like I don't know, dude can form words together. Maybe there's one good beat on this shit. But I mean, it's really just far from a professional work. When you get to 3, it's kind of like there's just things missing. It's like, hey, there's one really dope track, you know, there's some good production on it and everything, but just like the full picture is not painted. Like it's just feels all over the place. And to be honest with you, I think some of those other albums you were talking about by Marshall fit that, where it's kind of like, it's not cohesive, you know. There's talent there, but you know, 4 would mean like, you know, really basically your rhymes are in order, the beats are in order. There's a little something missing from being classic. It could mean it doesn't connect with the culture completely. It could be like there's a few mishaps where like you picked the wrong damn beat, your producer fucked you in some way or another. You know what I'm saying? Or you had a couple of features that just weren't needed or whatever, but still pretty damn good. And you'll go back and listen to it for years. Like we all have four-wheel albums that we actually listen to regularly and go back to. Obviously, a 5 is just, you know, an absolute classic, something that defines a period in time. something where you say like, you know, this year, boom, that album pops right into your head. I mean, that's something that's hard to get. It's not just talent that does that. It's got to be its own thing, its own movement. So I don't think this is quite that.
No.
I don't think it's, practically perfection. Like, one of my uh, guest Minivan albums would be like "It's Dark and Hell is Hot" by DMX.
Yeah.
That was something that was just like so different that it just changed the entire culture, but it was needed in the culture and people didn't even know that, so it's not quite that. I do think it's above average.
Absolutely. So to wrap this up, uh, every other album in recent past that he's put out, I can't even name you the albums or the songs on them really, because I didn't like any of them, and that made me sad. This album has several songs on it that I actually like, that I will be playing again, that I have played again, and it's got me listening to Eminem in my car again the last couple days. Old shit,
Yeah.
granted, but reminding me of the Eminem that I loved, and that is a big win for Eminem in my book, for me personally. And I think that the people that are hating on this album are ridiculous. Like I said, I'm not sitting here saying it's album of the year and it's great and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But it's good. Okay? It's
Yeah.
good and it deserves to get its credit. And I'm just happy that we're sitting here making a review on an Eminem album and not sitting here talking about how much we freaking hate it.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
That's why I haven't done one.
yeah, because what's the point of that? I'm not gonna sit here and waste time hating on somebody. It was good, and yeah, that just it makes me happy. So I think people should go out and give it a chance. And
Like when I heard
you'll
the
find
Houdini
something on it
track,
that you like.
I was like, oh, it's back to the Eminem that did the kind of bouncy, zany, corny,
Yeah.
exact same single every
I was
time he
kind of
dropped
like,
an album.
okay.
But then I listened to it and I was like, well, wait a minute. It's kind of better than when he used that formula before.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, wait a minute. Maybe the other stuff is a better, improved version of other things he did. It
Yeah.
actually the single actually made me want to listen because I was like, wait a minute. I normally hate these singles. Even when I was a huge Eminem fan, I hated like Guess Who's Back and all of those songs. Like I couldn't stand that shit. So I heard this one and I was like, okay, good choice of a sample, number one. Number two, it sounds like he's hungry again. And number three, it seems like he's kind of connecting with that zany stuff, in a more timeless way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, anyways, lyrically, kind of a step up.
Yeah.
For
sure.
A lot of times people say like Eminem's amazing lyrically and his metaphors and his similes and this, that, and the other. And it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, for a mainstream rapper, but if you listen to underground stuff, it's like he's just saying more words.
Mhm.
That's what it felt like. Now, this one, on the other hand, he really put things together well. His lyrical content was there. His hunger was there. You could hear all of that. And then as far as like his delivery, it wasn't just a delivery that like rappers themselves, or
It wasn't Rap God for every
right.
song.
Yeah, he was changing the delivery in places. He was keeping you interested, but it wasn't getting monotonous.
And each song had a different, depending on the topic of the song, it was appropriate for the song, the spirit of
That's
the
true.
song, delivery, it worked.
It's put together well. And like I said earlier, the beat selections were pretty damn good. You had some boom bap stuff in there. You had good instrumentation. You had a couple of tracks that were sounded kind of like they were regurgitated from back in the day. But you got to remember the concept is that he's kind of like reliving that and then killing it. So it all made sense.
Yeah.
And I was kind of impressed with the project. Like I said, the playback value of it.
It's important.
Yeah, I'd say at least half the songs on it, I'll go back and listen to at least once.
Yeah.
There, like somebody else said, there was actually stuff in there that like the hood can vibe to.
Yeah.
There's a certain feel on a couple tracks here that really weren't there before. And I understand why they weren't. It's hard when you're worth like $100 zillion and you ain't been in the streets and for fucking ever. You know what I'm saying? Like your vantage point is different. You can't keep just trying to think in the past in order to get that hunger back. But somehow some of these connected. I thought like that the guest appearances were good. I feel a few projects ago he just did too much of it.
Yeah.
You know, the one that had Juice World on it and this person, that person.
It was
Some
a lot.
some of it was good, but it felt like a lot. It felt like I need to desperately get current artists on my project.
Yeah, you know what it really boils down to, all in all, is that this is the first album that I've actually felt like he meant it. Like his heart was in this one. Like he was in this one. His heart was in it. His emotion was in it. He wanted to do this, and I don't feel like his heart was really in the other ones.
No,
was just
no, it's
doing
like
them
we're
to do
saying,
them,
because
you
that's
know?
all he knows. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
his
like
thing.
if you're just making food to make food, it's like, okay, well, or are you making a 4-course meal because that's what you love to do? Like, I don't know, it's a terrible comparison.
No,
but
it's kind of
just
like what they say about people, like and he's obviously great at what he does. He's one of the greats, and they say that a lot of times, like say like Michael Jordan
Mhm.
was fucking miserable.
Yeah, he's just
and
playing to
couldn't find
continue
his way.
playing.
Yeah, like he couldn't get that kind of interest and passion in anything else.
Mhm.
Like he tried at being an executive and this and that. Like,
Tried baseball.
well, there's a different whole
Yeah.
reason for that, I think. But I don't know. Y'all go watch Michael Franzese's video about that. But yeah, I felt like what you're saying, like he really meant it, and being somebody who has done creative works, and also most people who do creative works, your mind jumps around a lot. You get inspired. You want to write about everything. It's hard to stick with a project like that where it has guidelines, where it's like this is a concept, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it's hard to stick to that. You have to actually care about it to do it.
Yeah.
So he was feeling something with this, and basically the way that I try to rate like a project is looking at it like, how will different groups of people listen to it or hear it if they give it a chance. And I think that your average young dude in the street or something that hears it, there's enough beats that'll grab them. There is enough funny shit that's going to make them stop. You know what I'm saying? Provocative stuff, whatever you want to call it. There's some hooks that are catchy on it. I mean, I think it'll grab just the average person who listens to hip hop, even if it's a completely different subgenre of hip hop. I think that there's enough talent there to where it grabs people who are older, who are outside of hip hop. And, of course, like the cats that like boom bap hip hop fans are actually going to love it. There was a little more soul in the beats and stuff like that this time around.
Yeah.
So any of those cats that he lost before, I think he got. You know what I mean? It's not exactly like, it doesn't have like club records. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nobody goes to the fucking club anymore, really. You know what I'm saying? No, but I mean, it's just seriously like with Eminem, I've understood it when people said that before, but there is stuff with replay value in here. There is stuff where people are going to take lines and sample it and mix it into a blend or whatever. Like, I don't think it's missing a whole lot. And anything it is missing did not belong on a concept album like this.
Yeah.
With this subject matter. Well, I think it was something needed that somebody who's a great MC comes back with something that's basically like, fuck censorship and fuck telling me what I can or can't say. Because whether or not he's playing the old character or not, he's doing new references to new situations. He's still saying whatever the hell he wants to say. That's kind of needed right now. Somebody really, really putting effort and thought into their project and lyricism is really needed right now if we want to hear more of that return to the mainstream of hip hop. And I feel like this one connects a little more than ones in the past.
Yeah.
It's partly because of the works, it's partly because of timing, but a lot of the stuff when you talk about connecting with the culture, it is the timing.
Yeah.
Unless you create the movement like It's Dark and Hell is Hot did. Like Everything's Shiny Suits, come bring something that's really grimy, you know. So I think it was different enough from everything else out there. I think it was very skillful. I think it was skillful without the whole purpose of it being you saying how skillful you are.
Yes.
I'm the best rapper, I'm the best rapper, I'm the best rapper. It wasn't that.
Because I couldn't do any more of that.
No, and that's really what made the project, is that it wasn't that. Rather than saying I'm the greatest over and over again and in different ways, it was, I'm going to do some stuff that shows I'm the greatest type of thing. And I did like how he called out current, like, fickle fans and stuff, like the haters and all that shit. You know, I thought that was pretty dope. So with this one, I think that it does influence the culture a little bit, possibly, to step their bars up. And I do like seeing JID on a track with him again. I think it does influence the game to tell them to step their bars up, to do something a little bit different, to show that somebody from that era can still do something that's fresh and new, even though it's kind of a rehashing of something older. There were the heartfelt tracks, the meaningful ones that showed like more of a human side rather than just a character, which, spoiler alert, kills off the evil guy and then the real person emerges. The only thing that keeps me from giving it a little bit higher than the 4 that I'm giving it is, with such a lead up to killing something or someone off, you almost need an immediate showing as to what the new person or thing is.
Yeah.
And I understand like the actual killing part of it is the end of the album, but that just means I want to see some kind of growth on a project on the next one. Something just totally different. I don't want you to play a fucking flute or something. Like, but I'm saying that.
Boy, please don't.
But I'm saying, you know,
I've been waiting for it for 15 years.
Yeah. It could just be, you know, something mad different that you've had cooking up. I mean, a real fan, if I'm really trusting Eminem like I did back in like 2000 or something, I'm thinking of a project in my mind that he's already got worked up that this was leading to. I don't know if that's the case.
We'll see, I guess.
I don't think so. Probably not.
I don't think so either, but
I know people that would have like kind of given me information on that. I don't think that's the case. However, I do think that the dude is back as far as being relevant. And I don't think it's just for the reasons that articles have been writing, that he said stuff that offends certain people. I think it's more just people need that a little bit right now. In a serious time, they need to laugh, maybe get their kicks on something that's a little bit evil, and want to hear some lyricism. It feels like lately all of like drill stuff and everything like that was so popular. Yeah, it's still there, but it feels like people just aren't connected to it like they were.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just looking for something different. I'm not saying this is it, but I'm just saying it's good that this is grabbing some of the ears of those people that would normally be in the hip hop buying pool.
If you miss the old Eminem, listen to this and you might actually feel a little connection again.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, you know,
if it makes you go back and listen to that stuff. And when I went back and listened to that stuff and then listened to this one, I was like, it really is an improvement lyrically. I guess like it should be after more than 2 decades. But some of it was just as hard. It went just as hard. I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But I would say if you don't know it, go back and listen to If I Get Locked Up Tonight. Like, this influenced me to go back and listen to that. And I was like, see, this is like kind of what I'm picking up on from this.
Yeah. So
like,
all in all, man, it was good. Go listen to it. Give it a shot. And I don't think you'll regret it. And if you're looking for the old Eminem that you missed, like I said 100 times, this is where you're gonna get it. So.
And if he's new to you, it's entertaining. You know what I'm saying? And also, as far as like, oh, well, that's a high rating, like, because I could give you the other 4s in the past, and you might say that those are more timeless pieces of work. You also have to always remember, what is it up against? You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as what he's up against on the market, it's definitely a 4,
Yeah.
if not better.
Oh yeah.
You know, the timing is everything. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it stands out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And no, that wasn't some double entendre.